This is the third quarter market report for Northwest Michigan, and the third quarter followed for the most part what we've seen all year in 2016, and that is the inventories are tight, sales activity is up, and in general the housing market has been steady throughout the year. Now you have to break that up a little bit into price ranges, because in the under $250,000, under $200,000 price range, which is where most of the sales occur actually in Northwest Michigan, that's the strongest, the hottest market. We've mentioned before that downtown Traverse City is one of the hottest markets in the state, and so you have micro markets that either exaggerate the position of that particular market, that pricing segment, or slow it down. But in general, the under 200, 250 price range has been very strong. Inventories are tight, values are going up. It's tough to find the right home in that price range. The middle market, which is say anything up to about $500,000, that market follows a lot of the same trends as the under 200, 250 market, in that inventories are tight there, although they're loosening a little bit. Values are up in that market. So you'll find that buyers will have a little easier time finding homes for sale than they would in the under 250 price range. But it'll still be a little tight. It'll still be, the best homes will still go in a matter of weeks rather than months. So you have to be ready to move quickly. In the $500,000 and above, it depends on whether it's waterfront, not waterfront. Non-waterfront upper end is moving quite a bit slower than waterfront. But in general, the upper end inventories have been rising faster than sales. Sales are up slightly this year, inventories are up even more. So we're seeing values a little flatter in that market, and homes sitting on the market longer than people are used to. So it's not that the market is flat or it's declining or it's crashing or any issues going on. It's just, relatively speaking, to the last 4 or 5 years, it's slowing. And in general, the market, it will start to slow going into, certainly seasonally going into the fall and winter, but also in general economically it'll slow down a little bit, because the burst of activity from the recovery of our recession is settling down. It's getting settled, and we're settling back into what's the normal economic activity for housing for Northwest Michigan. And although economically Northwest Michigan is growing and is creating jobs, housing has to eventually settle to that level. So we think it will settle, not just, again, seasonally, but going into 2017. So we don't necessarily think 2017 in terms of home sales will necessarily be more than 2016. We think it might even be a little bit less. But if we're wrong, we're probably wrong on the positive side. It's more likely to be better than that prediction than worse. We're going into it with a good economy. Rates are expected to remain low throughout the year, maybe up a little bit, but still reasonably low. We're going into the year with tight inventories, tighter than they were last year going at the same time. So even if buyer demand is a little bit less, we have less supply, that causes more of an equilibrium trade-off there. So we're probably going into the year with as much momentum as we did last fall, which bodes well for 2017 in general for housing. So we're optimistic going into fall that we're carrying some good momentum for the rest of the year. Again, maybe settle a little bit, so set your expectations a little less than when you talk to your neighbor who sold last spring or summer. But still good market, good activity, and a good time to test the value of your home if you haven't done that recently. There's a recent survey that showed that only about 27% of homeowners felt that they had more equity than they did at the beginning of the recession, when in fact about 72% do. So unless you really look and ask the question, am I better off, is my home values up, then you won't know. So if nothing else, it's worth a conversation with a realtor to find out what your home value is worth. You might be pleasantly surprised. So happy home buying and home selling for the fall. Thanks.